Rampall takes 4 as Durham stutter to 250. With 4 losses from 4 this season, Durham were in desperate need of a reversal in form as they welcomed second-place Derbyshire to Emirates Riverside. Tony Palladino had been the hero with the ball for the visitors when they won their last outing against Leicestershire, whereas Durham's problem this season has been scoring runs. 3 consecutive maidens took their toll as on the 4th ball of the 4th, Ravi Rampall struck to have Jones caught by Hussain for naught. Cameron Bancroft was the new man in. He was immediately off the mark with a 4. He and Lees looked to rebuild for Durham, but they suffered a further setback when Rampall struck again, trapping Bancroft LBW for 18. 30 for 2 brought Hart in to join Lees at the crease, and the 2 players managed to see Durham through to lunch without further loss. The score at the interval, 68 for 2. The Durham pair moved to a 50 partnership just after the break, but with the score on 87, Palladino took his first of the match as he trapped Hart in front for 24. Alex Lee's innings progressed to 50, translating some of his white ball form into the red ball format. But just as it looked as though he was going to make a big contribution, his innings was curtailed by Rees. Hughes with the catch as Lees fell for 63. Durham moved past 150, and Newman, Travaskis and Burnham were still at the crease at the tea interval. The score 172 for 4. Both batsmen looked solid after the break. And pushed Durham past 200, Burnham moving to 50 in the process. However, with the partnership on 86, Critchley managed to get the wicket of Travaskis, caught by Duploy. Three overs later, Rampall struck again, Burnham out LBW for 67, bringing 2 very new batsmen to the crease. One of them didn't last very long, next ball rain falling the same way, giving Rampall his 4th of the innings. Carse became Rees's second casualty of the day when he was caught by Hughes for 10. .250 for 8, becoming 254 for 8 at the close. Eckersley and Potts seeing things through to stumps, with the day ending honours relatively even. Rampall takes 5 before Hart hits back for Durham. 4 wickets for Ravi Rampall on the opening day in Durham had given Derbyshire the edge against the hosts on day 1, in spite of 50s from Lees and Burnham. Durham resumed on day 2 on 254 for 8, with Potts and Eckersley at the crease, and the pair put on a plucky 16 runs before Potts was bowled by Palladino for 14. Rushworth and Eckersley were able to add a few more before Rampall completed his second 5-wicket haul of the season with his best figures so far this term, 5 for 77, completing the Durham innings on 293 all out. Rees and Godalming opened things up for the visitors and were quickly into their stride. They pushed on at a healthy run rate, with the opening 10 overs concluding with the score on 50 without loss. They came to lunch with no wickets down, trailing by 239, the score 54. The pair continued to move on apace and had produced 84 for the opening stand when the first wicket fell. Rees caught behind off rain for 34. 4 balls later, the second wicket went down. Madsen caught by Eckersley off Rain's bowling without troubling the scorers. Godalming was having no such trouble, however, and he moved to his first 50 of the season in the 27th over. However, shortly after reaching the milestone, Godalming fell, bowled by Hart for 66. The score was 117 for 3, and that soon became 128 for 4, as Lace became Hart's second victim for 21. In the same over, Hart claimed his third, bowling Hussain for a duck, and when Hughes fell for a duck in the next over, caught by Bancroft off Rushworth, Durham was starting to harbour dreams of a rare first innings lead. However, bad light brought about an early tee, with Derbyshire posting something of a comeback to move to 147 for 6. Critchley and De Pluy were the men at the crease, and they managed to see things through to the close as rain curtailed play at the Emirates Riverside. Critchley and De Pluy had put on 53, and Derbyshire will start day 3, 112 runs adrift of Durham's first innings total, with 4 wickets intact. Durham enjoy first innings lead and hold the edge going into the final day in spite of Derbyshire fightback. Durham fought back well on day 2 against Derbyshire, reducing the visitors to 181 for 6 at the close, meaning they headed into day 3 with a lead of 112. Critchley and De Pluy were the 2 men at the crease looking to narrow that deficit, and they'd only added a smattering of runs when De Pluy was the first to fall, caught behind off rain for 17. Critchley was just 3 runs shy of a 50, and he duly moved to his half-century. His new partner at the crease, Van Beek, didn't last long though, bowled by Hart for 12, with the visitors still trailing by 64 runs. Palladino briefly joined Critchley at the crease, but the duo added just 16 runs before Palladino was caught by Travaskis off rain for 6. Rampal and Critchley hit a few boundaries as they further closed the first innings deficit, but the West Indian was caught behind off Rushworth for 12, bringing the Derbyshire innings to a close, Durham still leading by 25. Critchley the pick of the visitors' batsmen, as he went in unbeaten on 79. The conclusion to the innings also meant lunch, and so after the break, Lees and Jones came out to open for the hosts as they looked to build on their slender advantage. The pair made an applied start, but there was an early setback. As Rampal took his 6th wicket of the match, Jones pouched at second slip by Hughes for 9. Bancroft joined Lees, but both of them found it hard to get the ball away, and after a scratchy 10-over period, the Australian nicked off to Rees, Hughes again with the catch, the skipper out for 3. Hart and Lees dug in. And they fought hard to see play through to the tea break, getting there with Lees on 28 and Hart on 15. Durham 61 for 2, a lead now of 86 runs. Into the final session, and Derbyshire once again turned to Palladino and Rampal for the breakthrough. However, it wasn't quick in coming, as Lees and Hart completed their 50 partnership and took the lead past 100. Just as it looked as though the pair had weathered the storm, Rampal struck, Hart falling for 26 after Critchley took the catch. In his next over, Rampal struck again, removing Burnham caught and bowled for a duck. And Derbyshire's attack remained rampant as Travaskis was bowled by Rees for 2. Eckersley joined Lees at the crease, and he struck a boundary off Van Beek as the light began to fade. And both Lees and Eckersley batted prudently in the initial period after coming back out. Then they accelerated, taking 11 off a Palladino over, including a boundary from Eckersley. Lees then moved to his 3rd 50 of the season as the advantage passed the 150 mark. Together, the pair put on 50 runs in the final 10 overs of the day, reaching 160 for 5 at stumps, a partnership now worth a valuable 74. It means, heading into the final day, the match is once again leaning back into Durham's favour. They sit 185 runs ahead with 5 second innings wickets intact, and plenty for Bancroft to muse on overnight regarding a declaration. Breathtaking finish at the Emirates Riverside as Durham win for the first time this season. Both Durham and Derbyshire headed into the final day with aspirations of victory, following a 3rd day that had been shared as far as honours were concerned. The home team were 160 for 5, that was a lead of 185, and any runs they could add to that tally would potentially move Durham into a position to take their first win of the season. Lees and Eckersley resumed on 63 and 33 respectively. Lees struck a boundary off Palladino in the opening over of the day, and he hit another 3 overs later off the other opening bowler on day 4, Ravi Rampal. The lead moved past 200, and the partnership became a century one as Durham moved to 200. Eckersley then brought up his 50, but just after bringing up the milestone, Eckersley fell, caught by Van Beek off Critchley for 52. 3 balls later, another one went down, Critchley striking again, as he had Rain caught by Godalming for a duck. Just a couple of overs later, the 8th wicket went down as Cast was caught by Lace off Van Beek for 4. And Van Beek had another moments later when he had Potts caught by Deploy for 2. It looked like Lees might run out of partners in his quest for a first century of the season, but fortunately Rushworth hung around long enough for him to move into 3 figures, bringing up his 100 in fabulous fashion with a 6 off Critchley. All that before the number 11 was run out by Godalming to bring the Durham innings to an end. Lees unbeaten on 107, Durham 242 all out. Derbyshire then requiring 267 for victory. Rees and Godalming began the quest for the win well, seeing the visitors through to lunch unbeaten on 32. They quickly moved to the 50 partnership, but with 213 to win, Durham picked up their first wicket, Rees caught behind off Potts for 21. 3 overs later, Madsen was the next to go, LBW Rain for a duck. Godalming became bogged down, and he and Lace saw the runs dry up. Durham's pressure then told in the 30th over of the innings as Godalming fell LBW to Rushworth on 42. Lace was then bowled by Rain in the final over before tea, leaving Derbyshire precariously positioned on 96 for 4. 6 wickets separating Durham from victory. For Derbyshire to claim a win, 172 runs were required. Hughes and Critchley started to put together a decent partnership after the break, Critchley taking a particular liking to Potts as he struck him for 3 boundaries in 1 over. Hughes was also finding the rope, striking Travaskis for 4s in successive overs. And Critchley hit the same man for 6 in the 52nd over as Derbyshire moved on to 153 for 4, the 50 partnership chalked up in the process. Rushworth took some tap from Hughes, and when Hart was reintroduced to the attack, Critchley pushed himself closer to a half-century with a pair of boundaries. The stand was worth 85 when it was finally broken. Hughes bowled by Cast for 40, but that effort had put Derbyshire to within 87 runs of victory. Critchley moved to his second half-century of the match, and new partner Deploy took no time finding the boundary for himself as another good stand started to grow. Deploy was caught behind off Rain for 19, leaving Derbyshire 214 for 6, needing 54 to win. Rain and Potts bowled a series of economical overs and the game appeared to be getting away from the visitors, but Critchley found the boundary off Rushworth and Hussain did the same off Rain to get some much-needed momentum back on the scoreboard. But Chris Rushworth decided enough was enough and produced a devastating over to put Durham on the cusp of victory. With the opening delivery, Critchley fell for a fine 71 caught by Travaskis. The batsman crossed, putting Hussain on strike, but 2 balls later, he was back in the pavilion, run out by Potts. Derbyshire needed a cool head, but that wasn't going to be Van Beek, as he was clean bowled by Rushworth for a first ball duck. It was to be Durham's day. Rain bowled Palladino on the second ball of the next over for yet another duck to bowl Derbyshire all out for 238. That gave Durham their first win of the season by 30 runs. Derbyshire losing 4 for 4 to wrap up their innings. 21 points to Durham. Derbyshire have to settle for 5.